point that the 10,000 scheme was actually aimed directly at the female entrepreneurship. And when we interviewed female, almost 60%, 6 out of 10 females said that they will use money to do something for earning something, in terms of doing something for their livelihood. They are going to utilize that money, not for anything else. Rest of them did say, पुराना कर्जा है कुछ उसको चुकाएंगे. Some said that बीमारी में कुछ something else घर में खर्च करेंगे. But I mean, even if 6 out of 10, forget about 6 out of 10, I would consider even 1 or 2 out of 10 actually uses that money to become an entrepreneur or generate job. That would itself bring out a big change. But what the point which I wanted to make, and I'm not entirely disagreeing with Tavlinji in that way. Basically, see, what exactly has been the problem of not just Bihar, but most of the India at large has been that the politics of India has been played on the identity cards way too much. All right. Not that a female identity card is it is different. I mean, in more ways than one, but religion or the caste, which kind of overwhelmed or overlooked the real issues on the ground. With females, I have just found in so many data sets all these years, they think differently. The first time I recorded a different kind of female voting was way back in 1998 Delhi Assembly election when Sheila Dikshit ji won. At that point of time, the प्याज के आंसू जो बीजेपी ने पिए थे, you remember the onion became. But housewives cracked that election on the issue of onion. It was not the males. BJP in 1998 polled distinctly well even among the male voters. It was the females of Delhi that called that battle. So from that point onward to today, when we are looking at the state which is defined by caste arithmetic, Barkha, you look at Bihar and the first thing people start ki kaun jaat ho, kya hai, kitna hai, jatigat equation, and I haven't been in the watching the news. You are the first show to come on, honestly, but I knew for sure that even in this mandate, which is a watershed mandate from every perspective, everybody still would be counting caste. Let me tell you, when we were looking at the post-poll data and I told you, Barkha, this is a double digit among the female, it cannot be one way if it is really about female voters, because I could see a significant deviation even among the Muslim women, even among the Yadav women, and there were caste barriers which were being cracked on. We talked about the Yuva voters, Barkha, but we keep on underlining the fact that half of that young voter is also female. We understand the point that the huge majority of the youngsters in Bihar were born after the Jungle Raj thing. They don't remember. So, but that applies only to male part of the younger Bihar, not the female part of younger Bihar, because their mothers have reminded them what was during the RJD rule, and they have paid. Actually, they were full of gratitude towards Nitish Kumar. While I totally get this point that BJP is an important part of this thing, it was a double engine because Prime Minister Modi is also extremely popular among the female voters. And it was not because just 10,000 ki ghoshna, but also the financial strength that the BJP being in the center brings along. I totally get that. So Nitish, it was a very well played out double engine game, no doubt about that. But the sheer fact, Barkha, that females of Bihar have broken the caste arithmetic and to some extent even the religion arithmetic. When we'll share the data with you this evening, you will see in that way. So that is a watershed moment, and that will force, Barkha, a big number of politicians who actually and seriously want to play a 20-30 years long political graph line. They will force to do that.
I do agree that there's been a shift, and I also agree with many of Shugata's observations. Now I want to come to the hardcore politics. Do you agree with Shugata that Nitish Kumar will be more vulnerable because of how well the BJP has done? Your own data shows us 91 leads out of 101 contested for the BJP, 81 for Nitish, 22 for LJP. If I can just do the comparison to the Mahagathbandhan scorecard, could you give it to me? This is the C-Voter automated data that we've been looking at all morning. I need to see the Mahagathbandhan. There it is. look at what's happened to the RJD. I actually, while I was talking to you, I hadn't actually been paying attention. It seems to be, is the RJD down to 25 seats?
That's right.
Then
That's
we need to
right.
update our numbers. We need to update numbers. The RJD is down to 25 out of 143 contested, and the Congress is
This
down to
only means
4.
one thing. This only means one thing, that the females have Bihar have even breached the Yadav and the Muslim equation. It only means that, Barkha, nothing else. I'm telling you. And
Yeah,
why numbers sometimes may suggest that Nitish Kumar is vulnerable. See, Nitish Kumar got 50% of the BJP seats. I mean, 50% of what the BJP score line was last time. Still, BJP made him the chief minister. There is a reason to it. It's not just about Kurmi Koiri Kushwaha thing that BJP
yeah.
wants to take in a post Nitish scenario as and when the eventual, because BJP and RSS, they plan not for 5 years but for 50 years kind of thing timeline. They do plan things like that. But now with the female thing, I do not think BJP is going to take that risk. Take it in writing. Nitish Kumar probably will retire only when he, because if Nitish Kumar is replaced right now against his wishes, it will be seen by women of Bihar as something of a backstabbing sort. I don't think Prime Minister Modi is going to take that risk. If he would have been taking that risk, he would have done it way back. I think whatever government Nitish Kumar was running for the last few years, I mean, in the 2 years, it was primarily being run by the BJP ministers and the BJP's rank and file in Bihar. Nitish Kumar was more or less was kind of a figurehead over there.
I think Shugata's wanted to respond, but I
Yeah.
do want to talk about the complete devastation to the RJD.
So
Can I
quick
go to the sea
response.
voter? Could I
A
go to
quick,
the sea voter? Yeah, yeah, Shugata, go ahead.
No, a quick
Shugata, go ahead.
response to Yashwantji. Yashwantji, when I say that Nitish is more vulnerable, it's from the point of view that he has, from the point of view of arithmetic. See, he's been known as Palturam, that kind of a thing. So he can't abandon the NDA this time because the arithmetic
Right.
does not support on the other side. So he has to stay put with them. So
Yeah.
he is that way completely locked with the NDA, is what I'm trying to say. It's
I think,
vulnerability, not for other
yeah,
reasons.
yeah, that point is well taken. I think you are
But you
absolutely
don't, Shugata, you
right.
don't mean that they could play around with him and their
They can
supporters.
play around with him, as I said earlier. It will only happen a year later when they see. It depends on his health. So they'll see the progression of his health, and then I think after a year, they may sort of make a certain move. But they'll be very, very careful for now. They will not touch him for now because I think, as Yashwantji said, the women vote plus, nobody. And see, the biggest propaganda item of the Mahagathbandhan was Nitish is not the CM. He is somebody. He's not. He's being controlled by somebody else. Nobody likes somebody who is down to be poo-pooed like that. Culturally, the
Yeah,
basically the Hindu cultural. If you look at it through that prism, if you're old and vulnerable, nobody would like to, like you to beat him furthermore. I think that generated a lot of sympathy for Nitish as well, because there was memory of him doing a lot of good work for the last 2 decades. So I think that sentiment also went against the Mahagathbandhan, because you heard, yeah, Tejasvi Yadav and Rahul Gandhi call him all kinds of things. They did not name his ailment. That's all. They said everything
yeah,
else. So
yeah.
that was a bad move.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree on
Can we talk for a moment about the Congress? It is extraordinary at this point that the Congress the Congress is down to 4 seats. And if I may go to the sea voter data, I want to show the scorecard on the sea voter data on how it actually compares with the CPIML and other parties. JDU's Anand Singh, by the way, in prison on charges of murder, has won from Mokama. But Yashwant, the Congress contested, as your own data shows, 61 seats and is leading only in 4. The CPIML contested 20 and is leading in 4. So the CPIML strike rate today is better than the Congress strike rate.
Absolutely. And now that the dust is settling down, let me say this. I mean, people are my friends in Congress are not going to like this. Even though I
Yeah.
indicated it to them in personal and as well as on the show, in a very polite way. the entire campaign of SIR I mean, it was backfired. It just backfired. It just backfired. Let's accept that. I mean, and I was sensing that, and I did tell them that you did nothing, but you wasted 1.5 months of Tejasvi Yadav's campaign. That's the only thing you did. And while the people on the ground, which were coming to your rallies, were all coming from the anti-BJP camp, largely due to Tejasvi, you took so much of time even to declare him as the chief ministerial candidate, basically just opening up the fact or the lines that not everything was as seamless as one would have liked to see from the opposition's point of view. Right. Now, while one has wasted Tejasvi Yadav's campaign, Tejasvi Yadav could have otherwise focused purely on rozgar, 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 rozgar. Somebody might have liked to advise him, don't go to say har ghar mein sarkari naukri, but say naukri, say naukri. Because I think he came up with sarkari naukri thing as a last ditch effort because he could sense that SIR campaign failed and he had to do something out of the box so drastic that it could just, roll over everything else. So Tejasvi did whatever he could do. It was Congress which pulled Tejasvi down and Mahagathbandhan down. It was the SIR campaign against the Election Commission which wasted the time and the effort and the resources, everything one can think of. And it still pains to see that not learning from this, it is 200% in likelihood they are going to double down on that. The indications are they are going to double down on that.
And even the vote share to seat conversion, if you look at this slide on your screen, MIM has only about 1.86% in the leads, but is leading in 5 seats. CPIML has about 3.1, but is leading in 4 seats. The Congress has 8.15% vote share, but is also leading in 4 seats. So the conversion of vote share to
8% is coming from the fact that they contested 62 or 64 seats.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Otherwise,
that's right.
what exactly is the ground zero situation of Congress? They need to reflect on that. They need to reflect on that. Priyanka Gandhi, you remember, worked wonderfully during the Beti Ladki Hu Lad Sakti Hu campaign, which actually benefited them in the Lok Sabha election. But this brings them down. Now imagine what kind of power they will have on the negotiation table when they are talking about seats with Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh for that matter. That power is taken away. So I think something is drastically wrong, and you will know very quickly within 24 hours. And I can say it full confidence the way things are moving. They will double down on the campaign against the ECI without realizing that historic turnout of Bihar has happened just purely out of the trust in the process by the Bihari voters. Living in denial is not something which is a right thing to do. I fear they will not only double on the campaign, they might even pressurize Tejasvi Yadav to reject this offer results, do something as stupid as it can be by kind of boycotting the ceremony and not going to the assembly or not accept. I hope Tejasvi Yadav sees through that. I hope he doesn't fall for that. I hope he's a young guy. He has a great political future ahead because he, in the worst of the time, is still sitting pretty on 35% vote block.
But it's been a devastating election, and if he loses his own
no
seat,
doubt. But we have seen many phoenixes rising again out of those kind of ashes. If you have 35% vote share with you, Barkha, you only have to work hard to win trust of 5% more votes, saying that I do not belong to my old party. I have the same party, but with the new color. I have this vision and be there on the ground, and he has a future. I don't discount him, but he has to see through it. He should not be falling trap to some stupid advisor of not accepting gracefully this defeat and move on, to learn and move on. Something he has to do. and I genuinely hope he learns from Akhilesh Yadav, who did the same thing way back, and he bounced back, lost again, bounced back last year. What I mean, and he has been there. So I hope that he doesn't fall into that trap. But I, honestly speaking, uh, I do sense a terrible double taking down on, on the current campaign of the Congress about future SIR. While on the other hand, by the way, Jagat, yesterday I read a story in Indian Express how DMK is wonderfully using technology to ensure that SIR is rolled out in the most seamless way can be. I know for sure that TMC is doing the same in West Bengal. So I don't think they are going to go against the ECI. They are going to use their machinery on the ground to get the SIR done properly and use that thing because they know the ground situation. Uh, our friend tweeted very nice. I'm talking about Tehseen on the Congress
Yeah,
situation. You
yeah.
know
Let's
that.
bring it up. Let's bring up
Yeah,
the tweet
that's a
of
beautiful
Tehseen.
tweet and with a share that कि जमीन नीचे नहीं है और आपको पता नहीं है वाला जो शेर है. I mean,
Hanji.
somebody needs to take a stock at that. This entire election commission thing has, I don't know who advised, what did, and somehow they still feel in the campaign they would still like to say that vote chori happened and BJP and NDA has won because of that vote chori. 71% females coming out and voting, giving a double-digit lead to the Nitish Kumar-led campaign, is not vote chori. That is something which he has earned with his hard work in 25 years of his public life.
Right. And Shweta, you wanted to add, I mean, Yashwant thinks that they will be doubling down by the Congress of, lashing out at the EC, which will be the biggest mistake to make after a turnout like this. Can we unmute Shugata?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah,
Can you
go
hear
ahead.
me? Yeah.
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 No, the stubbornness of Rahul Gandhi Bharka is not going to allow their partners to sort of, chain say rehna unke with them, to collaborate with them. So the stubbornness is going to drive away the partners, in the coalition that the Congress has built across the nation. You will see that happening in Tamil Nadu next. I think Yashwantji mentioned spoke just mentioned Tamil Nadu. See, Tamil Nadu is where Congress is again dependent on DMK, but DMK is very smart. DMK does not speak the language of self-righteous language of Rahul Gandhi. As a political party, you cannot speak a self-righteous language, but Rahul Gandhi seems to have created a kind of, a rhetoric where he tries to see ghosts everywhere. He does not trust the Supreme Court. He does not trust the Election Commission. He may have reasons to say so, but if you want to remain a political party, then you have to institutionally engage. So when they asked him for an affidavit, you should have given an affidavit. When
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
when there were no objections,
absolutely.
Barkha, when the SIR was released, there was not a single objection raised in the list.
Exactly.
If you had a institutional or a party organizational mechanism, you should have punched holes into it. Now when you don't do that, you better give up that argument and move on. See, the most important thing for Congress, Barka, is to say that yes, we have lost. I think telling themselves that we
Right.
have lost is the
Exactly.
That's
biggest
right.
Conceding.
service that they can
That's
do to
right.
themselves. So,
Exactly.
and the last point, Barka, the vote chori is something that they will never be able to prove, because vote chori happens in several forms, not the kind of presentations that they make. But the other thing which their allies will not tolerate is their ideological chori. See, Rahul Gandhi has sometimes tried to be Rahul Yechuri and sometimes tried to be Rahul Yadav.
That's
Yogendra,
so
he should
funny.
just leave it to
That's
them.
so funny.
Yeah.
So he has tried to take away the agenda of the left by moving left. He has tried to take away the agenda of the DMK by speaking a federalist kind of language and a linguistic pride kind of a language, which he can't sustain because people don't see him that way. And then he has tried to take the caste agenda from Yadavs. And Barka, you asked me this question in 2024 on the day of results. And I said, the 100 seats that they have won is not theirs. They're actually trying to, they're dancing with borrowed plumes. And those plumes were that of Akhilesh. So they thought that it was theirs. It was never theirs. So they have made a huge mistake, Barkha, and they should tell themselves that we have been defeated. We have to work our way up. That is the
Yeah.
only simple thing. Yeah.
And Barkha, one more thing just to add to this point,
Yes.
Katihar Yatra was more important than Columbia Yatra.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what the hell, Barkha?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
how can you, at the peak of of a campaign, go on something as absurd as Colombia, Peru, whatever, and which is
Yeah.
not even an area where we have a big number. If he would have just come to Dubai, probably he would have met more Biharis in the camp over here working and done a better campaign over here. I'm honestly, I mean, so his own image of being a part-time politician, where once in a while he wakes up, does some yatra, gets some engagement, and that engagement, because history has told us, Barkha, that you do a yatra if you are on the ground, your popularity and your numbers will increase because people love seeing the politician coming to them. All right. But the moment you get some kind of muscle, you get a sensing of an out of proportion idea of your own strength, where you do not even have proper polling booth agents to put up a hole in what election commission is trying to do. So in that case, at that point of time, if you will skip the main campaign and go away somewhere, I guess when the first time I heard, actually I thought he was going to Columbia University, honestly speaking.
वैसे वो मेरी
Barkha's
university
alma
है,
mater.
I really thought that, okay, he
नहीं,
might be
but
going for
वहाँ
some
भी-
speaking
no,
assignment there.
but ठीक है,
And
but
then
that
I
also you can
didn't
do.
know he's
That
talking
also you
about
can
the
do.
country as in Colombia, and I was like, okay, reality check, reboot. This is something I can't even laugh at that. It doesn't bring, because honestly speaking, this country, more often than not, in our MOTN polls and all the trackers, huge overwhelming majority has been saying this country needs a serious and better opposition. Nobody
Absolutely.
wants unhindered power to be given to anybody.
Yeah.
So I feel like crying at that, because country needs you as a serious opposition, and something is definitely wrong, and you are not conceding or accepting what is wrong in your
And
thinking.
absolutely, and there's going to be some amount of churn within the Congress. Shashi Tharoor, and you would have seen, the Congress has now started openly attacking Shashi Tharoor. Pawan Khera a few days ago, because Shashi Tharoor said something about LK Advani, said as usual Shashi Tharoor speaks for himself and not for the party. Could we correct the spelling of Shashi Tharoor on the banner? And in the meantime, let's play out Shashi Tharoor's reaction.
Waiting for the final official results, but it's very clear that the lead is overwhelmingly with the NDA.
Do you think the Congress, I think only 4 seats are right now leading in Bihar?
It's obviously seriously disappointing, and if that turns out to be the final result, remember it is not yet the final declared result, but if it turns out to be that, then I think there will have to be some very serious introspection. And I don't just mean introspection in terms of sitting and thinking, but also studying what went wrong, what were the tactical or messaging or organizational mistakes. Please understand that I'm not somebody who has campaigned in Bihar. I was not invited to campaign in Bihar, and therefore I cannot give you any first-hand information. But I've been talking to people, I've been talking to journalists who have come and gone from there, I've talked to political operatives who have come and gone from there, and I've talked to ordinary people from the state of Bihar who are doing other jobs outside whom I've met, including some of our security people at the airports, a lot of Biharis in the CISF. So I've got a sense, and I think that similarly, our party leaders must do some very serious analysis of where things went wrong. Because, whenever an election happens, there's got to be some factors that are specific to that particular situation, as well as specific to our organization, the way our organization functions, that we need to understand and see what we can learn from.
The Fed is claiming and alleging election commission again. So from your perspective?
I personally would need to see much more detail as to what that is based on. Okay.
Okay, so he said it needs serious introspection. And well, I don't know if the Congress is even going to, as Yashwant said, uh, say we've lost and we've got to do something about this, or whether they're going to attack the election commission. I want to, in the end, talk about Prashant Kishore. I mean, we need to talk about Prashant Kishore because here is the contrast. There is Nitish Kumar on the one hand, Shugata, who did not do a single interview. Ek bhi nahi. He released a self-recorded video 2 days before the campaign. That was the extent of his media outreach. There's Prashant Kishore, very media accessible, very media friendly, lot of media attention on him. Did not manage to open his account, right? What happens? What happens to him? I'll start with you, Shukata, and then Yashwant. And then we'll take closing comments. Yeah. Shukata, can you unmute yourself, please, Shukata?
Yeah. I mean, I think, to be fair to him, I think he has just created a name recognition, created a base, created some kind of an organizational structure, which I think will pay off in the future. I don't think, if he is a practical person, I don't think he was looking for results in this election. Having said that, see, the other thing is about the hype that he creates around himself. See, in 2014, he said Modi won because of me. Then all the other state elections, he said they won because of me. And at least even if he did not say that, that was the kind of messaging that happened, that he makes people win. And now that whole thing is slayed, one shot. That a person who can't even get 2% vote share, what did they do? He was dealing with big brands, and those people were well entrenched in Indian politics for a very long time. He was only sort of doing the icing on the cake and probably improving their communication, and also sort of keeping things together. In fact, I remember very clearly during the previous Tamil Nadu elections, I was there and I asked a top DMK person as to why did you engage Prashant Kishore when you know so much more about your institutions and your organizational structure and your district level units. You know so much more. Why are you bringing him in? So he said something fantastic. He said, see, we want to deny a lot of people a lot of things, and we cannot say that on their face. So we want to make an excuse keeping this man in the front. So, lots of political parties used Prashant Kishore for a lot of reasons. But I think somewhere he started believing that he was the reason for their victory. Nobody can see, you can't build the image or a brand of a person just by, getting some 10 interviews or, managing things for 6 months. It's an insult to the Indian electorate if something happens like that. So, I think he has learned a very hard lesson. And I think he's going to be there for a longer period due to his age and his whatever. So he's created a name recognition for himself. I'm sure he's going to play a better role in the future, Barkha.
Right. Let's not sort of write him off right now. I'd be very interested in seeing the vote share of Prashant Kishore, Yashwant, because you had said that if he manages to get as much as Chirag Paswan got in vote share last time, you'd consider it a good start or a good. We don't have that number yet. Just asking my producers to also check. But Yashwant, let me unmute you, Yashwant. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't have that because he is not a recognized party yet. So we'll have to actually add up final results and then look into what kind of vote share he's eventually managing. But he created a buzz, no doubt about that. And he created a buzz for change. Remember, we tracked his journey of popularity from almost 2% to 22%. And at that point of time, also, I said that this is popularity, this is not vote. We don't know how much actually will get converted. Ironically, in generating that buzz, I believe what he did was that he rebooted the system, which kind of took away the lethargy generated around Nitish Kumar. When the contest became bipolar, then a lot of that buzz, a lot of that traction, which was deviating towards Prashant Kishore, in the eventualities, when they saw it is leading to victory of Mahagathbandhan on RJD, they kind of swung back to Nitish Kumar and NDA. Because you remember when we put up a bipolar question, a two-horse race, Nitish Kumar was leading Tejasvi by 46% to 41%. And that was telling me that if this contest is going to get bipolar, then a lot of Prashant Kishore traction, because 7 out of his 10 supporters were coming from NDA. And I have said this is more often than not, that if he would have voted that much, he would have polled that much, it would have been disadvantage NDA. But I think in the bipolarity of the thing, just like in Uttar Pradesh, when things became bipolar between Akhilesh and the BJP in the last assembly elections, even a person like Mayawati got uprooted. Her entire vote share collapsed, seat shares collapsed. So obviously, this was a much more a bipolarization of that. But I agree with you that Prashant Kishore, if I was advising him, I would say don't lose heart. I think what you have created is a brilliant start without having any legacy of being a film star, or a legacy of having a political father figure, or having a legacy of being out of a Jayaprakash Andolan or Anna Andolan. No Andolan. If you can create this much of buzz around you without doing that, I would seriously recommend him just be there on the ground, look at the future, where two biggest names of the Bihar politics are too old now, and in 5 or 10 years down the lane, there would be a vacuum out there, and if he stays there, who
Yeah.
knows, he could even become quite significantly big in the 5 years down the lane. But at this election, I think he created a campaign which ended up rebooting the system. And when his supporters realized that his candidate is not in a winning position, they probably, in a bipolarity, they shifted back to the NDA camp, majority of them.
Let's just take a very quick last words from both of you, 30 seconds each. Shugata, big lessons for the Congress and for the RJD, and the same question to Yashwant. Shugata, I'll
Yeah,
start with you.
yeah, it's certainly been, it's not just big lessons. I think they have to completely reboot themselves. In RJD, despite the fact that they have a ready base, they still have to rework a lot of questions. And I'm really skeptical if they will ever align with the Congress again, because I think they need to change, because Bihar politics has changed, Barkha, with this election, with the
Yeah.
kind of focus that's been there on the gender thing, and the kind of the welfare programs have started rolling out. And the Yashwantji spoke about a generational thing a few minutes ago. So that generational thing has actually happened. So there is a kind of a shift in Bihar politics. So RJD also has to learn to rework itself. It won't work with the existing kind of MY or whatever. In fact, I read a very nice piece yesterday or day before in the Times of India, where it said in the MY, M has become silent because the number of tickets that were distributed to the Muslims, even by the Mahagathbandhan, was very, very circumscribed. And they gave them tickets only where the population was more than 40%. So now all that kind of things will completely change now.
Many questions. Yashwant, very quickly, closing comment to you. Very quickly.
Very quickly, Barkha, I think they need to first concede. They need to first, in all being humble and in all humility, they have to concede that they got defeated fair and square. Fair and square. I doubt they will do that. And that's where the problem will start. Second, just as a political analyst, I am always amused what if scenarios. I am amused what if Misa Bharti would have led the campaign instead of Tejasvi. What if Priyanka Gandhi would have led the campaign of Congress? If this is about female votes, it will always be also be about female leadership in future. I doubt that they are thinking in that way. But if these elections have shown you the limitation of MY block, then probably thinking about adding MY, another Mahila angle to it, might do better for them. But I don't know, both these parties somehow like to keep their female leaderships on the background. That's something which the asset they have, they are not probably utilizing it. So we'll see. But it will start first with a very clear, humble
Admission.
conceding the election. That's where the basic is. If that doesn't happen, nothing is going to change.
All right. Thank you so much. Learned a lot from both of you in this hour. Thank you for your patience in explaining everything so simply. Yashwant Deshmukh, Shugata Srinivas Raju, always a pleasure. Take care and see both